We don't hit home runs on this pod. We work station to station. I am back with my battery mate, as always, Dustin. And Liz, back from Cleveland, is going to provide us a little road trip report. And of course, we're going to wrap up the last week in Jay's action, at least what we can. The little bits and pieces and things that we can talk about. But I'm just going to go into a quick rundown. Anybody who's listening to this podcast probably knows where the Jays are at this point. They're dog shit. They got swept again. So 2 series in a row. Home to Red Sox, away to Cleveland. They're now 35-42, last in the AL East. 6.5 games back from the wild card. Take that, Ross Atkins. 15.5 games back from the New York Yankees for first in the division. So I would say we're in dire straits. Although I think there's this weird numbness that's slowly settling on us and this fan base. Unless you go into a Twitter comment section, maybe that might, you might get a change a bit. But Dustin, maybe just give me your thoughts on this last week of poor Jays results.
I'm not going to say it's rock bottom because, it could get worse. But it's pretty bad. Being a Blue Jays fan for going on 30 years now, we've seen this. So, I've experienced bad Blue Jays seasons before. I know how to handle them. And at least the Buffalo boys, the kids are up and we get to see what they have to offer. And, baseball is always fun to watch, even, if you're losing.
It's not, yeah, I'm gonna chirp in on this whole situation. The last 2 series I thought have been pretty good because we were losing. And if we're going to lose, fuck it. We might as well lose all the way down. In order to get what I want, which is somebody to be fired. I feel like for me, my goal is just someone be fired from the management or front office. And we should be getting there. I don't know if we're there yet, but we should be there. We should have been there already. So I'm like, you stupid losers. At least lose all the way. And I hope that, we get to see the children play. Let's see the kids play. I don't mind them making errors because you're like, oh, well, it's their first time. Maybe Spencer's not going to make that base running error again. He's going to learn. But when I see my guys, I don't know, Vladdy making his errors as he does every so oftenly infuriating, or my guy, Kevin Kiermaier, who apparently has 2 hits in I don't know how many games. It was
2 months?
2 months. Yeah, it was something really insane. There's no learning there. There's no joy in that baseball. But I don't mind scrambly young baseball.
So one of the things that I did want to, because you weren't able to be on the episode, I did. Do you have any kind of final Kevin Biggio thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I'm so happy to not watch him just stand there with his dick in his hand, watching baseballs go by. I'm very happy about that. But I think that here's the thing. I had no beef with Biggio. I liked him a lot. I really thought that if he had more playing time, he would have been better, but I don't think it was ever going to get there. So I'm happy for him to go chase his ring and infuriate a different fan base. But I think Kevin could be a case study in where our players go and how they end up. If it turns out well for him, if it does end up I don't think it's going that well, but if it does, he's another kind of mark against our current ownership. When we see guys like Teo go away, we see Gabby Moreno go away, and they start playing really well. So, Kevin, I loved you mildly. I will not miss you, but I do not have. He's just a blando guy. He was just such an undividing kind of player that he reminded me of an unsalted cracker. That's what he reminded me of.
Yeah, I saw something interesting today on Kevin. They had, he got a hit in the games, and the LA Dodgers announcer was just talking about how the hitting coach for their team is working with him, and they think they've solved him, and blah 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 blah. So I'm kind of interested to see if that's the case, if they can figure out because they were saying something like he hits left-handed, but he throws right. So that means his dominant hand's on the bottom of the bat, and they were showing they think that he gets under the ball or something. I don't know exactly what, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if that'll be a mark on the Blue Jays, batting coaching and sort of offensive coordinator and all those people that are supposed to be figuring that stuff out for these guys.
I would say there is one group of people, Liz, that disliked Kevin Biggio, and it was basically because of his last name. So there's a group of people that always thought Kevin Biggio is still in this team because he's Craig Biggio's son, right? Those people were often pissed off about it.
I saw him in Buffalo, and he was like part of the whole trio there. He was packaged in, right, with Vladdy and Bo and Biggio.
Famous photo.
Yep. And so when I was there at a weird time. I think Vladdy had been called up, Bo had been called up, Biggio was still there, and Teo was back down again. They sent Teo down for a while, for like a couple games. I saw him, and he was like the hot guy. He was like on all the shirts. Biggio was the guy people were going to see, and I feel like he just got rolled up in the name legacy. Because it was fun. Like, I don't know whether his younger career stats added up to something special, like say Vladdy or Bose did at the time, or it was just a whole name branding exercise and hope.
Well, we talked about on the episode that you missed, his highest WAR, wins above replacement, was actually his rookie year. So essentially he came out, kind of showed all this promise. And so I imagine he was probably showing promise maybe, when he was in the minors, but I think his WAR was the highest rookie year, and then it kind of just slid, right? And also his at bats also the highest in his rookie year in terms of the Jays. So I think it's a weird one. It's a really weird one, to be honest, Mr. Kevin Biggio.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't feel like we're worse off without him. Like, people were quite upset when he got let go, and I was like, oh, he stuck around for a while. I was surprised. And I will always remember what I call the Kevin Biggio game, the game where he got the unassisted double play, I think at first, and hit a home run that game. That's it. That's all I need from you, Kevin. Good luck.
Yeah, well, we kind of agreed it was a hopeful good fit for him. He did get booed in his first weekend, apparently.
Wait, why? Who boos Kevin Biggio? Like, come on, man.
Struck out looking 3 times.
Yeah,
I knew that. Like, yeah, like, well, you knew that.
Yeah, well, of course you did.
Of course you did. That's like being surprised that, like, I don't know, Aaron Judge is tall. Kevin Biggio likes to stand there and watch the ball go by. That's his vibe. He's a guy who can take walks.
Well, if they can teach him to be aggressive and maybe not do that, then maybe they got something on there.
Maybe they're onto something. Well, another player who seems to like to look at strike 3, George Springer. Dustin, I know you wanted to talk about George Springer seemingly still being a regular, as well as a regular to the point of either he doesn't get pinch hit for, or he pinch hits for other players who he should be getting more opportunities than he should at this point in the season.
Yeah, it was a close game. I think it was the second game of the Boston series. Close game in the 9th. Addison Barger, his turn is up, and they pinch hit Addison Barger for George Springer, or George Springer for Addison Barger rather. And I was beside myself. Like, how can you do that?
I wasn't watching the game live, and my only message was there a lefty on the mound? That was all.
There was.
I didn't know anything else, and there was. But go on.
That's the only argument you could possibly have and that's probably the argument that they did have. But I found out later, like, I didn't know at the time, but I was livid anyways. But I found out later that Addison Barger had faced that pitcher in the minor leagues and hit a home run in the past off that guy, off the lefty. So it's like, just give the kid a chance. George Springer is hitting below the Mendoza line right now. He's not going to turn it around in the 9th inning at, like, the biggest spot that, you could have in a game, in a regular season game anyways. He's just not it. I last episode, Rob was talking about his straw moment, like his last straw moment for Schneider. I mean, I don't know, that for me, that was mine. Like, I just was like, how does that happen? I don't know. I don't have much else to say.
Well, so there's 2 scenarios here. Either John Schneider had the info and chose to ignore it and pinch hit George Springer, or he didn't have the info at all.
Which is bad.
Yeah, also bad.
I don't think he cared. The thing is, like, we see how they treat Springer. You know, they keep putting him in the lineup. They had him lead off for way too long. And it sucks because, like, he had his chance. He had his chance to cheat and win a World Series, and you know what I mean, and get paid $40 million a year. And we've got people and kids that could really like use this learning experience. We're at a time listen, we're not going to be contenders this year. We know that. So why don't we stop wasting precious learning at bats and experience on our kind of aged heroes who aren't producing and reward those who are. Like, I just don't understand Schneider. You know, you'll see somebody like even our guy Babe Schneider, you know, he'll be crushing it and he'll just bench him. He'll just magically just get benched and out of the lineup.
Ernie Clement.
Like what? I don't understand what's going on there. It would be very frustrating to be there and to be like producing and then see that like homeboy who gets $20 million next year and is hitting below the Mendoza line is hitting kind of, you know, in your spot.
He's batting fifth today. Today we're recording the first game of the Boston series here in Boston. He's batting fifth today.
Shameful.
It's just that
he's hitting 188.
Is it because here's the thing. My thing about George Springer is I love the man. I love watching him play, you know, defense. He's such a fun player to watch. But like, he's not turning it around, and I'm really upset with our front office and our management just keep gaslighting us, being like, he's going to turn it around. He's going to turn it around, and I don't know who, like in the organization, George Springer has compromising pictures of, but like I cannot believe that this guy is still getting at bats the way that he is, and still in the order the way he is, because he's like, legacy doesn't mean anything right now. Like, as my good friend, ex-best friend Josh Donaldson said, you know, it's not the try league, it's the get it done league. Like,
favorite quote.
So good. And he's such a jerk, but like it is true.
Yeah.
Like, that's unaccountable.
He's a jerk you want on your team.
He
exactly.
He is a jerk.
When he's on your team, you
love him. Yeah. So I don't know. Like with Springer, we can't get rid of him. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna take the loss on that contract.
Well, let's talk about that. Like, because that's what makes me the most sick about this is there's 2 more years of this after this. So, you know,
he should just start writing.
Can we
start writing?
What can we do to get rid of his contract, to get him off? Do you just sort of like, I don't know what you do. I know, you know, Vernon Wells' contract was traded. I mean, it's possible to trade it, I guess, but you'd have to eat so much of it.
But also, Dustin, you're going to have to throw in. It's gonna be like a reverse prospect deal.
Fuck, no
right?
way.
No, and I don't know. It's just like, it's such a catch-22, right? So you get, basically you're gonna have to trade Springer and prospects people actually want. You know, that's important, right?
No.
People want, not right,
and money.
That's how you're gonna clear. And you're gonna have to eat some of the deal. This is what you're gonna have to do. So I don't know, unless you get, you know, a contender that real right situation. Maybe there's an injury. You know, Springer comes in. I don't know, maybe mid next year, because let's be honest, no one's taking him this year. I think that's the only scenario that really. But I think he's probably playing it out. I think the problem is that you have George Springer, good defensively, cannot hit. Kevin Kiermaier, good defensively, can't hit.
Right? And both total babes. Both total babes.
Fair enough.
Yes, we'll second your motion here. Dalton Varsho has been, you know, when he does connect with the ball, it goes far, right? But he's not a high average guy, right? So ideally before this year, move Dalton Varsho into center, pick up another left fielder or corner outfielder, and you know that's gonna basically support all of the other things you're trying to do. But you bring back Kevin Kiermaier, so now you have Kevin Kiermaier's gone to that, and we did talk about this last week, but he's gone to this kind of bench, you know, off the bench kind of guy, defensive guy. But then you have George Springer, so it's kind of like, I don't know if you can bench both of them, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's also another problem with the roster construction.
Yeah, I mean, you can only really carry one defensive first kind of weak bat, you know, 8, 9 in the order kind of guy. You can't carry him and Kiermaier and, you know, a struggling Bo Bichette and, you know, whoever else you want to throw out there. I mean, I think Kirk is batting like 180 something too now. So you got to have somebody that can just put the team on the back and carry them through and hide these guys, but you can't hide four of them.
No, that's it. Like there's no, like it's so dire out there. There's no apparent solution. Like if you were to say, hey, who's the core we're going to build this team around? I'd be like, I have no idea.
I'd sign Vladdy right now.
I would too. I'd sign Vladdy. And who else would I sign?
And Jansen maybe.
Yeah, Danny's the best.
I would sign none of the above right now.
Yeah.
Did you see the home run that Vladdy hit? 470.
The problem with Vladimir Guerrero, and I think what we're going to see play, I can see him actually resigning. I think he's going to go to free agency, realize, oh, there's not as much money out here as I think, and
that's what like Kiermaier.
I think
that's what Kevy did.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't sign Vladimir Guerrero now because he wants too much money. He needs to realize that first base isn't what it used to be in terms of just players on the team, right? It's just changed, right? And it's not the same. But that's the only way you're gonna learn that is by the market determining.
Well,
that.
and I think that he still touts himself as a superstar, right? And he's not. His numbers aren't there. He's a good player. He's not what we thought he was going to be, and I think there's kind of a discrepancy there in his own mind.
Vladimir Guerrero's countrymate was called up this week, or I guess last week, Aurelvis Martinez, and we are going to talk about his, I was going to say whirlwind week,
it was
but
like one
it was
game.
more of like a whirlwind. It was like a day and a half, or maybe it was like 48 hours. But Aurelvis Martinez, the Jays, I guess, top position player prospect, 22 years old, gets called up, and he kind of does the, I'm going to do infield practice with the coaches for what? 3-4 days?
Many days.
Two games he was up and didn't play.
Yeah, he played for one game. Like I saw him on the Friday, and then I think that was the only game he played. Saturday they benched him, and Sunday he was busy.
The news.
Well, so we're gonna talk about what happened, but Aurelvis Martinez gets his first major league hit, and they showed his dad, and I got some tinglies.
You saw
Dustin.
You saw that too?
Yeah, they made sure they showed it, Liz, because I got some tinglies, right? Because it was just like he was just so proud, and I was like, oh, this is just not.
But did you see how big he was? Did you see that guy's built like a fridge? Now, when we go back and do some math, perhaps some of that fridge behavior, some of that, I would say, additive behavior perhaps leaked into his boy.
So he gets his first hit on Friday. He was supposed to play on Saturday and doesn't. And I think there were some excuses, there was definitely some excuses. Anyway, Saturday night, we get I guess he gets the word that he has been suspended for 80 games for, I guess there was a substance called clemifene.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? Found in in one of his urine samples, and it's a very strange substance for a male athlete, I think, to be caught with, because it is commonly used in women who are having trouble ovulating to increase chances of becoming pregnant. So I guess in the last couple of years, Aurelvis said that he's been trying to start a family, and he went to see a doctor, and he recommended this. Well, I guess I don't know if it was, they didn't really quite say when this sample was taken. I don't think it was taken in the last week. I think it was actually earlier in the season, maybe even spring training-ish. I'm not quite sure, but I don't think it was this week. And anyway, he gets caught with this. He was apparently taking Rejune 50, which is as I said, it's a fertility drug for women.
Well, okay. Two things. One, sometimes drugs, their main purpose is one thing and their secondary purpose is another thing. There's some plausibility that it's also a fertility drug for men. Let's just assume, give him the benefit of the doubt, and that's what it is. He was stupid and he didn't know or whatever. I mean, you're a professional athlete you have to know that you have the opportunity to show up in the majors this year. you're taking a new drug that you don't know what it is. You got to tell your team.
I'm sure there's like a list you could Google and you just put it in and it would come up yes or no.
Maybe, or you just say, "Hey, my doctor gave me this prescription. Is this good?"
Yeah.
Like you ask, there's got to be a team doctor,
Yeah.
somebody that you can call and say, "They're giving me this."
And fertility implies that it messes with your testosterone, right? And all of those things.
Yeah, exactly. That's got to be. But I mean, who knows? He's whatever, 20 years old, however old he is, 21,
22.
22. He's young, but
yeah, it is on the WADA list of banned substances. It is a selective estrogen receptor modulator, a SERM. So I did some research before the show. I'm still kind of in on this. I guess it increases. It actually isn't approved by the FDA for any you can prescribe it to a female in the States. A doctor cannot subscribe this drug to a male in the state. It has no uses in the States. So it was prescribed in the DR, but it's a banned substance on. Well, Rejune 50 isn't. It is one of the substances that it contains is on the WADA list.
What I thought was neat was two things. I'm so stupid that I was like, maybe he's intersex. Maybe the man's got ovaries and he's got to suppress them. All right, fine. That I get. That was a little out
2024.
There. Right? I was like, imagine though? No, that's not what it was. But okay. And I was like, I know guys in the DR start young. Vladdy was like, he just had 2 kids in the minors. But then I thought, okay, but apparently I was talking to one of my buddies who I don't know if he juices or not. I can't speak to that. But he was like, yeah, you go on it in between cycles. It helps your levels get back together.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is between steroid cycles, you would use clemifene to
get your
reduce your testosterone
get it back up.
Or get it back up.
Yeah, to help with the levels. That's all I knew, because I know that I don't know anything about this, but I know that when you're on roids and stuff, you get a lot of estrogen in your body. Your estrogen goes up, right? That's why you'll see
that's why your balls
shrink and you get breasts. Like men will grow breasts. So it's like maybe it's just to pump you back up a bit. I don't know. That's what I was told.
Interesting. Okay, I'm even more skeptical now. If that's true. But yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully he'll learn the lesson and this won't happen again. But man.
Do you think we're gonna see him again?
Yeah.
Well, he'll be ready for September.
80 games is still this year.
It's like, yeah, I also remember when I remember thinking, are we going to see Strowman again? We saw Strowman again. Ryu, we saw him again. Tulo, I don't think we saw Tulo again, but anyway.
Well, we'll definitely see him again in some capacity. Will we see him this year? Shall we take bets? Yeah. Are we going to see him this year? We'll see him this year?
I think we're going to see him in September because I have nothing else to hope for, and that would be fun. That could be fun.
Yeah, I would vote that we see him this year. I mean, what else are they gonna do? My estimation is in September there's not going to be even like a sniff of the playoffs, so they're going to be just bringing up whoever they can and giving everybody a shot.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see him in September, depending on I guess how many games are left, but we'll see him. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Liz's road trip. I guess it was a plane trip.
Yeah, it was a both. Anyway, road trip report.
Road trip report when we come back. All right, Liz, you are just back from Cleveland. I guess your first away trip of the season.
Yeah, it was. So I went away for the road. I went road tripping with my buddies, so I'm really pumped because I'm wearing my 10-cent beer night shirt. That's what's up. Never forget 10-cent beer night, Cleveland. So we planned the trip in December when we were excited about baseball and things look beautiful. So we go to Cleveland. I am supposed to road trip with my homies. And then I have the job interview Friday morning. So instead of missing the road trip, I was like, I'm going to do the job interview from the airport and I will just fly to Cleveland. It's like a half an hour flight. It was fine. The weather in Cleveland was about 32 degrees and it is an outdoor stadium and we had the cheap seats. So we were right in the top perch, just getting heated on and sweating. But I was astounded at the fan experience in Cleveland. Like you seem closer to the players. And everything seems like the stadium looks really slick. It's a beautiful stadium, but there's like goofy hot dog races. Everything, like the announcers, everything's a bit janky, just a little bit janky. So you feel like less like you're in a professional theme park and more like you're at a ball game.
To me, that's like the difference between Canada and America a little bit.
But like, and like there was kids running down with balls to try and get them signed. I was like, yeah, like you feel like you're closer to the team here, which I enjoyed. And also like they had like 5 promos. It was like Pride Night, T-shirt night. It was fireworks night. What else? They had like some more. They had like 5 things going on at once.
This is all on Friday?
Yeah. And it was like if you bought a special ticket, you got some kind of hat. Like there's all this stuff going on, and like apparently that's normal. It's not like they just do one giveaway at a time and make you starve. So that was super sick. That was Friday. But I will tell you, so we get there. We're the first or second inning. We're down by 7. It's the second inning. They've thrown 70 pitches. I think it was Rodriguez and Bowden. I think that was the night. 70 pitches, which we had not done. No one had done since 2014. Like it was the Tigers, I think, in 2014. It was bad. People were yelling at us. We just kept apologizing and congratulating them on their team. That was good. It was a terrible game, and we were ashamed to be Blue Jays fans. And that's okay. And then I will say, then Friday we leave the stadium because we're like, sweet, let's go party. Right, let's go drinking. Also, their novelty beers are amazing. And there was fireworks after the game in stadium, these crazy American fireworks, and you could just like keep drinking and watching the fireworks after the game, and that was beautiful.
Oh, there's no last call?
No, there wasn't. And you could walk around, like I remember I walked into the team store and just like had a beer on me, and no one was clutching their pearls. And their food selections were excellent. It wasn't all done by the Aramark, which I think supplied my cafeteria food. Anyway, and so that was sick. Then we go to go party, but there's no, like, Cleveland is not a party city. I think that we shit on Toronto a lot because our ownership, and it's cold often. But when you leave the stadium, when you leave the dome, people are rocking. Like, you can find a place to get a beer. As soon as you walk out, there's stuff happening, you know? Not so much in Cleveland. You have to, like, go somewhere because it is a city of 300,000 that has 3 major sports teams. Like, that's insane, right?
Only 300,000? I didn't realize
proper.
Cleveland was that
Cleveland
small.
proper. It's all in the burbs. So everybody leaves.
Right.
Yes, classic American
Yeah,
city.
when you walk to the stadium, you're on the strip with all the Guardians, like the big Guardian statues. It's beautiful. Like, you're like, wow, this is really impressive. Anyway, so we partied slightly, and then we went to the Saturday game. It was Josh Naylor bobblehead day. Damn, did I ever wish we had the Naylor boys and that really slick closer they have. I would like to have one of those also. And yeah, we lost that game, but we contended a little more in that game. And then the highlight of that evening was post-game Shaquille O'Neal DJ'd on the field. That was so I did that as well. And that was like just a bonus. You didn't have to pay extra. It was just like a bonus post-game. Stick around for Shaquille O'Neal. DJ Diesel. So I did that, and yeah, I mean, like, that was he was probably around for 2 hours after. Like, we were just drinking beers post-game, partying with DJ Diesel. And that was it. Like, and then we left on Sunday because we knew that we were going to lose. Oh yeah, and we got the news. So then I saw Orelvis Martinez's only at bat in the majors for a while. We saw him buff or screw up a ground ball. He looked scared. I was really looking forward to seeing him on Saturday. Of course, he wasn't there mysteriously. And then Sunday it came out that, of course, he had been suspended. But so it was a sad trip as a fan. It was a real burn it down moment for the franchise, I think, and I hope so. But the trip itself was good. On the way back, we stopped at a place called Cracker Barrel and ate a lot of beige foods covered in gravy. That's my hot.
That sounds like Cracker Barrel.
Yeah,
to
that's
me.
my hot Cleveland take. But my takeaways from Cleveland's are: it's got a lot of bridges, not a lot of vibes, and it's got a baseball team I wish that we had.
Well, Dustin's definitely mentioned the Naylor brothers before. I think we were talking about it early last year, and they had quite a good series, the Naylor brothers, and kind of reminded Toronto of just players that I don't know. I there's a player I do want to gush about on Cleveland.
Is it Quan? Who is it? I hope it's Quan, because Quan is excellent. No,
it's not Quan. It's Jose Ramirez. So
I'm just so jealous that he's not, that Vladdy Guerrero Jr. is not Jose Ramirez. It just drives me crazy.
the Jays were in for Jose Ramirez a couple years ago, I think, and they didn't seem to be able to pull it off. And I'm not really sure why. I'm sure there were multiple reasons why, but
My memory of it is that he's a Cleveland guy. Like, he's just kind of loyal to the soil kind of dude, and he wanted to stay in Cleveland, and
Yeah, that's fine.
it was what it is. That's kind of my memory of that situation.
But watching a real baseball team do real baseball team things, it just I've forgotten what that looks like. You know what I mean? Outside of 2021, 2015, seeing a team that's going to come back and just power through it and just dominates the entire game, man, I miss that.
Yeah.
Did you get a Josh Naylor bobblehead?
No, because it was 32 degrees that day. And because they were having a party before. So they were having like some kind of margarita tailgate party before the game if you showed up early, on top of the Shaq party after the game. And I could only commit to Shaq at the end because it was just so hot. Yeah. I think they're trying to sell beer, guys. I think maybe that's it.
Is this your first time you've been
Yeah.
to Cleveland?
Yeah.
I've not been myself, Dustin.
No.
Yeah, I would say definitely it's a nice little trip. It's a nice little trippy. The next trip I want to do is Milwaukee. Damn, I want to see the Brewers. Like, they look like they have a good time.
I was supposed to go to Cleveland in 2020.
Like for a Jays trip or for work?
Well, it was a work trip, but I was looking at the schedule, and the Guardians were in town. It wasn't Jays Guardians, but I was going to go and maybe catch a game and see the stadium, but kind of got squashed.
Well, your experience, Liz, is very similar to. I haven't been to too many. I've been to a few ballparks, but I went to Camden Yards, Baltimore.
Beautiful ballpark.
That one's beautiful ballpark, and definitely there's something about the American kind of hard to explain to someone that I guess hasn't been. It's just kind of like a different vibe, and they seem to be the security definitely seems to be less, I don't know, heavy-handed, right? Like security in Toronto.
Oh, man, they'll get
they keep a tight
super
leash,
tight,
right?
super tight. Like, I honestly feel like when I'm at the Jays game, it feels like I'm at a movie theater or a theme park. Like, they keep you tight. And this felt like I was at a baseball game. Like, it was a little loose. It was kind of fun. And you seem closer to the action. It was, and like, also, do you know what else they did, which the Jays would never do? They had somebody maybe 2 or 3 times per game run out in every section and just throw shirts and hats out. But they were shirts and hats that they were selling in the kiosks. The Jays throw out like shirts that are just like so janky and so cheap with logos you've never seen, or it'll be like they'll throw out Cavan Biggio player shirts 2 years from now. Like, they don't throw out shit that you want.
Yeah.
No. And
no, they end up as chamois for your car.
Exactly. And like, I've been going to games for 10, 15 years. I don't think I've ever had anybody throw something at me. I had people throw shit at my head 3 times in 2 days. And it's good. Also, and for the young fans, is that they have $10 weekends for kids. If we're going into a rebuild, we've got a team who charges higher prices on Saturdays and Sundays. You're looking at $65 for a 500 level ticket. There's no incentive for the young fan base to invest in this team. You know what I mean? It's just so sad. Whereas, like, you've got other teams being like, hey, bring the family out, $40 for tickets and food.
$2 Tuesdays and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they can that when it turned into like Fight Fest Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Right?
Well.
But I like my entertainment, so no skin off my ass. But no, I definitely think that. Well, and even a lot of American sports, unless it's like a big city or a big, the big team, it's very affordable, right? Like I've done a lot of road tripping. Not I've been to see the Jays a little bit, but it's been other sports, and like the stuff that it's Toronto and it's just expensive, right? And they just keep cranking the prices up and up and up, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in future years. And apparently, I think they've already sent out. I think they're already sending out their season ticket.
Yeah, they did. That was the
packages,
gossip
I
is that
think.
you've got to renew before the trade deadline this year, which is early, which has everyone thinking they're going to blow
August.
up this team.
Yeah. Well, I'll get some details on that. I have a friend who has seasons first row behind the Jays bullpen, so I'll get some details and see how pissed off he is
Yeah.
this year. He was pretty ticked off last year when they tried to. So they tried to pull the rug out in terms of you can't buy any other tickets at the Rogers Center. They tried to pull that, and his whole section revolted apparently.
Why?
They what's
Like,
that?
why would they pull that?
What do you mean? What do you mean they can't buy any other tickets?
So, okay, so for example, Taylor Swift playing at the Rogers
Oh.
Center, right?
Other events.
Right. So at other events, you would get, advanced
Yeah.
ability to buy tickets, right? And to be paying more than $10,000 for a pair of seats in the outfield, this was completely infuriating to someone I know. So that got quashed. They tried to take away. I think they tried to take away because as a season ticket holder, you get every giveaway.
No, I don't think they do
And
that.
didn't
They
really give a
don't.
shit
I
about
think
the
they took
ball
that
guys.
away, man. I actually think you got to charge
Oh,
for
they
that.
did
Yeah,
take
they
that
took
away. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that was one of the give and take. We'll give you your Taylor Swift tickets back, but you don't get guaranteed
It's so
bobbleheads.
goofy.
But,
Like,
hey,
yeah, and they used to have all these things where you could have like, I think it was like you could talk to the management, or there was like a question and answer period, to like state of the season.
oh, it's like the season ticket holders barbecue
Yeah.
or whatever at the beginning of the
And
year
like
that they probably haven't had at the Dome in 2
Yeah.
years because of construction.
now they just give you like a lanyard. I think like that's the sexy season ticket. Like the Blue Jays ownership fucking hates us. It hates their fans. I had this conversation with the Jays when I met with them, and I said, "You don't like me, the type of fan I am. I'm not an executive, and you don't give a shit." And they were like, "Yeah, that's what's up."
You know what? It's a small thing, but it's made me think of is, the home plate lady, how she was behind the home plate
Getty
all the
Lee, who I've
time.
not seen all year.
Yeah. Now they have after the renovations, like I've seen her back there, but she's got a different seat. Like it's
Yeah.
up over there. It's like you've got this lady that's like, viral on social media, and she's just like somebody that the fans know and love and joke about or whatever. And she doesn't get her seat. Like, I don't know what happened there,
The
but
ownership's not warm and cuddly.
Dustin, you have the Supreme Court behind the home plate now, right? They all look like Supreme Court justices because they have their like seat and they're presiding over this, shitty baseball game that they're taking in. But I wanted to, I guess, put it out there. Like there seems to be like an inverse. So the Jays, the worse they do, the more popular they are. Like Liz, like you go to more games than I do, but I've been to. I'm gonna go to. We're going. Actually, Dustin and I will be there on Thursday.
I'll see you there. I'll see you there on
night at the
Thursday.
ballpark.
I truly believe.
All right.
I think that's the game where they're giving out the Chippy Bowls, right? I think
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
so. Much like
the chip
much
and
like
dip,
10-cent beer night, where people went crazy on the field. I feel like if I don't like, there's a good chance we're gonna see them frisbee shit like them all on the field, and
Yeah.
mayhem will ensue.
Thought about that.
I will be there for that.
This is too good.
But this
I
is
thought
why.
about
This is
that,
why.
actually.
This is my problem. This is why I want the Expos to come back. This is where this all fits in. I want them to divide the market. The Blue Jays are Canada's only market. The people going to these games bought these tickets 10 months ago. They may be coming from Calgary. They may be in town for something, right? And so that's why it takes a while for them to drop. So they've got to be bad for like a year or another year for people to stop going, because people have already,
It's a tail. Like it's quite the tail on, like.
It's not a regional, because we're not a regional team. If we were a truly regional team, you'd see it faster, but we're not. We're Canada's team, right? So people have been planning trips from Calgary, Nova Scotia, wherever ahead of time. They plan their vacations around this. Whereas if this was a regional team, there's so many teams from here in the country, yeah, you wouldn't see that continued sustained kind of attendance. But it will drop. Like it's going to drop in September. It will drop next year. It'll drop. Like if they don't make the playoffs this year, for sure it'll drop.
I'm not so sure that dropped in attendance necessarily will drive them to be better. It's not going to hurt. I think we've talked about this before. I think, Toronto, this team has a ownership group that has a gajillion dollars. Like their money's not an object. They can buy a successful team. That other markets have done it. I think that in recent years we've shown that we can attract, reasonably popular players. George Springer, Hyunjin Ryu, you name it. There's some fairly high-profile players. So I don't think a full like shut it down, rebuild. Like a Baltimore style. Just be garbage for 4 years and then you're good. Necessary here. We just need to draft better. We need a better management team that can evaluate players, draft players better, and develop the system from underneath to at least support some of that money that you're spending on the top end. So that's going to need to, I'm with you, Liz, from earlier. They need to suck enough for someone to get fired, for the whole system to get rebooted. But I don't think we need to suffer through 2000s era, crap team for, yeah.
No, I don't think we do either, because you touched on it. This team has the money while you're finding new prospects and drafting, hopefully decent players, which they seem to have not really done of late. You can still buy players, right? You can still hand out large contracts. And I think in some ways that really should prevent them from being Baltimore. I'm not totally sold that this kind of like half, we can kind of hang around and do this. Yeah, I think it can work, but I think there's a stink around this team, right? And even now, I was a big John Schneider backer and have been, but it's just I'm tired. I'm tired of hearing the same thing over.
He believes in his guys, and they're getting hot tomorrow.
Believe in the guys, and we're in a tough spot, and all this, right?
Tip your cap, and I think to the pitcher.
Yeah.
Gotta tip your cap, right? Gotta tip your cap, or you don't, right? Or like I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of tired in general of the kind of like, insert, response here kind of media stuff. Like, I think kind of North American sports just kind of got this weird boring. Like nobody, everything's controlled and nobody wants to like kind of step on each other. Like tell us that you're benching Springer for 3 games. I don't know. The fans might love it.
Just
I don't know.
Honest. Be honest.
Do something. I think, and some of this stuff we talked about. So Friday, I actually messaged Dustin basically saying they announced that Aurelvis Martinez was starting before the lineup came out. Before the lineup came out, it was already told, it was already broadcasted, and everybody knew about Aurelvis Martinez was starting. So what does that tell you? That tells you that other people are making the lineups. And again, I'm not defending John Schneider because he deserves, I think, almost everything he's getting at this point. But right, like I don't know. So I think we'll continue to, of course, talk about the Jays and go to games, whatever. And I'm hoping they bring their best game against the Yankees. I kind of heard it. I think the Yankees I think people have kind of not figured them out, but they're starting to find some weaknesses in this team a little bit. And I don't know if the Jays can exploit them, but we'll see. Hopefully there's some good games later this week. And the Jays did go on to lose against the Boston Red Sox
they
tonight.
dropped quite the lead.
Oh boy, looks like a walk-off.
It was a walk-off, but the 8th inning.
Duran. Oh, not him again. So last year, Liz, at one point of the season, Jarren Duran had like 4 home runs, and 50% of them were against the Jays. I remember coming up with that random stat. Like, I don't know. I think he seems like he's going to be entering Jays killer territory.
Yeah, he's on the Jays killer
Mountcastle.
list.
Yeah, actually, we need to do that. That reminds me, we need to have like a Jays killer. Like, we'll do a whole episode talking about the hierarchy of Jays killers, right? Like, maybe we could build a whole team of them. I don't know. Like, maybe we'll have some fun with
for
this,
each position.
So,
but it looks like it was Pearson Meza that blew it in the 8th. Like they gave up 4 runs in the 8th.
Cool.
Yeah. Well,
That's baseball.
Much for bulletproof bullpen. But
Man, it's the worst because last year we had a good bullpen, and the thing is that Boston wasn't that great. The Yankees weren't that great. We had like an opportunity there.
This is another reason why the responsibility for this falls with Ross Atkins. It's like opportunities like that, they don't come around. Like, do you think the Orioles are basically gonna
Forever.
You know, I would still put my money on the Orioles winning the division this year, to be honest.
Yeah, I would too.
But they're probably gonna win the division next
They
like
have the depth.
3-4 years, and if they're not, they're gonna be nipping at the Yankees' heels.
Yeah,
right.
That's supposed to be us, man.
It was supposed to be, right? Dan Schulman came back to broadcast for Sportsnet because he wanted to broadcast the World Series. You ain't broadcasting shit,
Dan.
man. You're not even going to broadcast in the playoffs this year.
Team, man.
I love Dan Schulman.
I love him
Schulman.
too.
I will defend Dan Schulman like he is an amazing broadcaster, but yeah, I don't think you're going to get what you want this time around, bud. Maybe your son, because you brought your son in the fold. Maybe Ben will get the World Series in 10, 12 years, right? So
Oh God.
Anyway, I think that's all the time we have. Liz, how are your eBay auctions going?
Dude, so they're done, right? Okay, this is my hot gossip. Ready? Topps finally is like, we're gonna send you the cards. I don't have the cards yet, still. So they're sending them to me on Thursday, and so I sold, I don't know, 3 cards for like $5,000. No, $6,000. Before I was like, oh, I'll donate some, but I was like, fuck it, let's give them all. So I'm going to give all of it away to the Holland Bloomberg Concussion Center. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of the cards. Part of me wants to just frame them up behind me in, you can get like a baseball diamond, where you can put each one of your cards in there for a baseball diamond kind of frame, and I want to put me in every position. Or I want to have a video of me off the back of my bass boat, lighting them on fire and throwing them over the side.
Are they going to come as a sheet?
I don't think so. I just know that like card collectors would freak out if they just saw me setting them on fire. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. So I'm gonna put some more up eventually, maybe, or I won't.
Are you gonna get like one of those like cartoon large checks? Like,
yeah, I am. For sure, I am. Hell yeah, I am. I'm gonna for sure roll up with a cartoon check. Like, if I couldn't do that, I wouldn't have done it at all. Like, I'm going to roll up with a cartoon check. If I was really smart, I would have had, like, the clowns and bikini babes and shit. But, like, no.
Marching band?
Yeah, marching band.
Since you've been so gracious with your time, I think the podcast will kick. We'll donate some money to the cause as well.
Appreciate it.
So
I will give you guys some
money for
also,
you.
when I see you at the game on Thursday, I'll give you some of the fake cards that I've been giving out to children.
Dustin, you want to plug podcast social media?
Yeah, follow us on Twitter, or the website formerly known as Twitter, at pod, PODS, number 2S. And you can email us at station2pod@gmail.com.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining me, and have a good rest of your Monday.